recording.
Oh, perfect pass.
Chapter 8 is called Friendship. Alright, we pick off where we left off.
So sorry.
Nikki is mounting Ken right now.
No.
We pick up where we left off, and you see John Michael's giant airship floating towards Agra, who's currently just grabbing random amounts of people and shoving them into his mouth and eating them from the city. And you see John Michael standing on top with his hands behind his back as his cape blows graciously in the thunderous, doom-filled wind. And you see me, Melissa, Catherine, Ian, Scott, and Lean standing behind him. And I've got my bass guitar drawn at a slashing level, and I say, "What do you need us to do, JM?" And he turns around and goes, "I've gathered all of the useless people onto the ship so you wouldn't get hurt." And you see all of us go. And Scott goes, I'm actually not useless. And then you hear, "Yes, you are," from far away. And he goes, "Yes, dear." And it's then that you see Lake Michigan with giant, evil, red, stormy waves and two giant naval fleets against each other, one of pure silver and one of pure royal red. And you see Andrea facing port bow, or whatever is front, on her ship, as she's screaming to Archbrigadier Sandrick, leading the U.S. naval fleet, and she says, "This is the first time our fleets have ever joined forces." And Mary says, "That's because we are much better than yours." And Andrea goes, "That's probably true." And Mary draws her golden saber and screams, "Fire at will!" as thousands of cannons shoot at Accra, all shooting against his arm as he goes, as more windows explode within the 20-mile radius. And you see Andrea go, "Fire!" as several more cannons fire. And Andrea turns and goes, "Good, that's good." We pan to a giant tower, destroyed by wreckage, but with still a roof remaining somehow. And you see Ken doing this, focused at the top with a giant black thick cape behind him, charging and flowing with energy. And you see Nikki to his left doing this facing him, and Jordan to his right facing him. And Ken is screaming, "Gather all the psychology you can!" And you see thousands of colorful moths surrounding Nikki. She screams, "My poisonous moths will rape him!"
Yes!
And plenty more brains are swirling around Ken, growing in numbers and size and power. And he goes, "Jordan, lead the charge!" And Jordan snaps his fingers as Terry the pterodactyl glides down. And Jordan goes, "Leave nothing!" And then Terry flies forward, followed by millions of moths and brains towards Accra. And they lead the charge toward Accra's face, and he turns and goes, "Nyah," and opens his mouth as if to swallow them. But there are far too many. And the swarm smashes into his face, sending him going, "Nyah," and the arms swoop downward over the suburbs. And you just see very quiet suburbs that are windless, and you see the trees start to blow. And a child runs to get his ball and looks up as a giant hand smashes down the entire civilization. And you see the airship, and you see John Michael staring, and he goes, "This isn't good. Justin needs more time. Useless people, follow me!" And he walks down to the common room, and you see all of us go, and we follow him. And we walk down, and however many of us, there's that many empty circles. I'm not going to take the time to count.
Yeah.
In an arc, and he says, "Each one of you stand in one of these." And you all do so, and I go, "Should I bring my bass guitar for extra action?" And he goes, "No, it's useless." And I go, "All right then." And I drop it to the ground with a and I go, "Stand in the circle." And it's then that John Michael goes, "No!" And a bunch of metal tubes fall on us, totally enclosing us, and wires enter our skin, and we go, "Yeah!" And he snatches a crystal button, and our energy begins to be drained as we go, and he goes, "I'll harness all your spiritual energy into the main firing cannon that will surely destroy the beast." Isn't that right, Pekozik? And you see Pekozik's dead body in a suit seated in a chair, like that. And we pan back to Justin, who's charging a giant sun at Accra, and goes, "I can see that they're all distracting him, but what are the other two up to?" And you see a totally empty highway arching upward towards Accra. And you see Sean on one side with a lampstick drawn and Manny with his 2 tiger katanas drawn. And they're standing staring at Accra as the wind howls at them. Whoosh, with their hair blowing in the wind. And Manny has a giant bandana that arcs into the skies. And Sean is wearing the same tux he's been wearing the entire series. And he goes, I think it's time to reveal Thomas and Brand diamond battle armor. And he tears off the tuxedo and a pure silver crystal suit he is wearing. And he takes the lampstick and screams, yeah! And it charges upward into a giant crystal blade. He says, the lampstick's true form all along. And it's then that Sean goes, see if you can keep up with me, as he dashes forward onto the freeway, and Manny goes, no problem, and does the same. And they both lunge into the air and go in separate directions. And Manny goes, hurrah! As the giant tiger forms and charges towards Accra, and Sean goes, Thomasin! As the giant dragon forms, and the tiger and the dragon go flying towards each other. And Manny and Sean scream at the same time, activate fusion techniques! And they fuse into a giant black tiger-dragon hybrid with the head of a tiger and the body of a dragon with a dragon tail and a tiger tail. And its scream is all like, and they go, blaster technician activate! As it blasts a bunch of orbs of sheer power at Accra's face, which is still being attacked by moths and brains and Terry. And it goes flying into his face as it starts bleeding purple ooze like, and then Accra gets frustrated and reaches its arms down onto the earth and grasps each side. And we pan into a remote sunny island where it says Australia at the bottom. And you see Mary kangaroos bouncing around and several children going, Mommy, what is the baby's name? And the mom goes, well, it's called Joey, and it's very tiny, and it feeds off the nutrients in the that Australia has annihilated by the hand of Accra. And we pan to the other side of the world, where you see a young couple being married in Hawaii.
Oh my God.
And he says, you may recite your vows. And he takes her hands and says, Miranda, you know, my entire life I've always, and a shadow covers them, and he goes, what the piss is that? Explode. And Accra, you see a space-eyes view, is gripping the earth from both sides as he starts thrusting it towards the moon. And you see John Michael in his airship slam his hands onto the master controls as he says, no, he's initiating the sacrifice himself, this can never happen! And he charges out through the windshield, shattering glass everywhere, and goes flying into the air, up to Justin. And Justin at this point is just... And he goes, Justin, you need to pay attention, this isn't good, we only have 5 minutes before the entire Earth is destroyed, do something! And he flies back to the airship, and we're all still in the pods going, and he goes, my blast will far outblast Justin's blast in a blasting range of blast power. And you see all however many of the pods there are slam together as the glass tubes shatter and we all fall to the ground unconscious. And the main cannon rises into the air from the airship, and several mini cannons launch onto it as it starts vibrating, building thrusting power. And John Michael goes, let's see, with about 6 to 8 of those subconscious corpses over there, and we've got Pekosik and Steve and my parents and their families, that's enough blasting power to destroy several Africas. And you see a giant white ball of crystal energy forming at the tip of the cannon, and John Michael goes, as he starts foaming crystal at the mouth. And we just get another shot of Pekosik in the chair. And now, when you pan out, you see 2 giant orbs of energy charging, launching towards Accra, who's gripping the earth, thrusting it towards the moon. And Justin's eyes come back to normality as he stares down at John Michael's airship and screams, are you ready now? And you hear John Michael, yes. And he says, no! And they both launch their giant explosions at Accra, heading from opposite directions, slowly, but at a speed faster than you can even imagine. And you see Accra as he's moving the earth and goes, nah! And then everything goes silent as you see the explosion as it hits, and all you hear is, Lux! Luke's Roomquay. And a giant explosion in slow motion engulfs the entire world as you hear Luke's Roomquay singing from Estas Voces. And you see Sean and Manny standing on a destroyed tower, their faces illuminated by the light of the explosion and gritted teeth. And you see you, me, and everyone else who's useless on the edge lying on the ground. And you see Jordan and Ken and Nikki on the other tower, bracing for the shockwaves as their psychology melts in the giant explosion shockwave. And you see the naval fleets, and you see Andrea and Mary throw down a device as they're teleported away, as the entire millions of ships in the fleets are annihilated in a giant
oh God,
tidal
Jesus.
wave. And we get a pan of the Earth, and you see Akra disintegrate into space in the giant explosion, but the inertia is still sending the Earth flying towards the moon. And the screen goes pure white,